Well, thank you very much for inviting me to this fascinating event. I'm really happy to go to any of our members because I really think that we can learn a lot from each other. And sometimes when you are very much involved in your local context, it helps you to have a little bit of an overview from a different perspective. Of course, I very much resonate with what I've heard. And I really hope that I can provoke a few thoughts on the issues that have already been mentioned, actually, by the previous three speakers. First of all, as you may not be that familiar with IPA as such, I thought I will just give a very short introduction to our organization. We are relatively old, or I would say middle-aged. We celebrated the 30th anniversary of IPA just last November. And Ivar can provide you with a link to our Jubilee publication where you can learn a lot more about IPA. We have almost 60 member associations. Some of them are full members, some of them are associate members, and some of them are affiliate members. And we cover the whole of Europe. North to south, east to west. We have a very colorful membership, and thus we have, I think that being president for 3 years now, and I'm a curious one, you know, I like to learn. And I really like to learn about school systems, about parents in different countries. I think I have an overview of how these countries are grouped in a way. And I'm really fascinated by this effort that you are trying to place yourselves. We were discussing, I don't want to shoot your presentation, Rasmus, but for me, Nordic approach means that you have full trust in the state. Think about it during the presentations. I come from Hungary, from a former communist country also, and I have a feeling about the state, which is not a full trust. Altogether, these nearly 60 members represent a huge number of parents. The big issue we are facing, and probably you're facing the same because you are thinking about how to reach out to the parents in your country, is how to create messages that our members are ready to disseminate to their own members. How to reach everybody, the parent with a 7-year-old in rural Portugal or rural Italy. Big differences because in Portugal they will have internet, in Italy they will not. And also how to create messages that are equally resonating with people from all these countries, from Iceland to Cyprus, from Malta to Norway. What we are doing, or what we have been doing for the past over 30 years, is that we are offering representation. So probably this is something that resonates, at least sometimes, when you think that having the European institutions an idea about what's going on in your country can help you locally. In the context of Eastern European countries, one thing that may resonate, that may offer you a supportive element in communicating with your European institutions is that we all have people moving around in Europe, the majority of them leaving our countries. I read a small excerpt from something saying that there is an Estonian in every harbor in the world. How are you providing Estonian language for their children? This is something, for example, that may be a message that we can communicate towards European institutions and challenge them to give us answers to this. Another thing that we are doing, it's this. We are linking together national parents associations and we're trying to offer them possibilities for sharing their experiences and sharing best practices. I don't really like the word best practices, I like good practices, because best practices say that the others are not that good, which is not true. But this is the set European phrase that we are using, best practices. I think that Ivar got this idea listening to Kasper and Rasmus in Prague in April last year, and also inviting some other members. We are offering possibilities for this at conferences, online, and we're also offering support for members to organize regional events if they are interested in covering topics like this. Of course, the Nordics are very lucky because they have their own organization, financed by the Nordic Cooperation Loco, but we are trying to offer something like that for other members of IPA too. We are trying to choose the topics of our events according to joint interest of some members. Some of them are regional interests, some of them are covering the whole of Europe. The refugee crisis is a burning issue for practically everybody now, or challenges of the digital age is also something that the majority of our members are interested in because you're all dealing with this. And last but not least, to finish this introduction, is that, and it's important, because the members of IPA are organizations that are most concerned about parents in education, which is an issue. Some of our members are not even dealing with topics outside of education, while IPA is the only representation of parents on European level. So the European Commission will come to us, asking us about our opinion on maternity leave, because it's a European agenda point. They will come to us asking about early childhood education. Some of our members will say, sorry, we don't have a standpoint, we are not covering that. The European Commission will come to us and say, okay, what's your standpoint on apprenticeships? Some of our members will say, sorry, we're only covering general education, we don't have a standpoint on vocational education. So it is a challenge for the board of IPA to be prepared and to support issues that might only be the concern of some of our members, while I'm absolutely sure that those people who are in these associations are all having these challenges, let's say that. Because you may officially represent parents of primary school children, but they may also have a 2-year-old, they may also have somebody in vocational education. So we are trying to have a much more holistic approach than some of our members officially can do. And I know it's a challenge because sometimes we are challenging them with questions that are not officially their topics. But I really enjoy it, to be totally honest. When IPA was funded 30 years ago, it was funded with, well, basically 2 main challenges or 2 main approaches. One of them is to promote the rights and duties of parents. And today, I will come back to this issue later, we are lobbying on parents' rights on the basis of the rights of the child. Because we believe, it's not a belief, I mean it's not religion, but it's there in legislation, that parents' rights are there in the rights of the child. As a result of this, we are advocating for participation, real participation of parents, and we are also advocating for the recognition of parents as the primary educators of their children. What do we mean by primary educators? One thing is very easy to understand even for the most stubborn government clerks, that parents are the first educators. Nobody in their right minds would want 1-week-old babies to be taken to an educational institution. But the moment the child is born and you start to talk to him or her, play with him or her, that's education. So this is not question whether we are the first educators. Government policies and European policies are always questioning how long this period should last. What we say is that should be the parent's choice. If you decide to go for homeschooling for the whole childhood, they should be supported just as well as those parents who decide to use the services of a creche from month 6. The European answer is to set up quality standards for early childhood institutions and push governments to set up as many creches as possible. Because they think that that's the quality assurance part. What we say is that we need to support the parents to be a better educator. So we have different answers from the European Commission and a different answer from the majority of countries. It's actually trust. It's very difficult, and I would really like to avoid a situation when the European Commission or UNICEF is setting standards for quality parenting. This should be done in local communities. Local communities should listen to each other and see when a parent is struggling and becoming a bad parent. It's much easier to set up standards for large-scale institutions. Although I personally think that creches are different, because normally you take your child to a creche where there are only a few children. So again, the quality standards should be set by the parents there. Some parents would like to have very long afternoon naps. Some parents would like to have extra educational activities. Of course, there are some hygienic things that should be regulated. But what we say is that for primary educators, for the parents, you need empowerment, training, and support, because we're not born to be good parents. 100 years ago or 200 years ago, by the time you had children, you already raised your little siblings, the children of your older brothers or sisters. Big families live together. Now in nuclear families, you don't really have role models. And if you look at the internet and if you look at different resources available, there's plenty of information available from -9 months to about 2 years. What's more, this information is totally contradictory. Those should be killed who are not breastfeeding. Those who are breastfeeding are losing their womanhood. You should hold your baby all the time. You shouldn't touch the baby if he's crying. So young parents are lost. When the kid becomes 2, they're even more lost because there's no information. So the moment you have this issue of your child wanting to leave school, you will not find a group of parents who have solved that issue at home. So this is what we think that should be encouraged and supported on European level, to be able to support national parents associations, to empower them to support local communities. And this is a huge demand, because it needs a change of lenses, it needs a change of practices, because as the world is changing around us, also service providing from national level, from local municipality level, should change. There are plenty of good practices showing, even hard data, evidence-based, that supporting parents on local level saves a lot of money when it comes to family benefits, when it comes to unemployment benefits. And it's relatively easy to see it on a local level. In a village or a small town, you can see that if you introduce a peer-to-peer support program and you finance it from the municipality, which is just one part of your pocket, after a few years, you will have to pay much less unemployment benefits. On a national budget level, these pockets are so much separated from each other that it should be the parents to say that I'm one parent. I don't have a slice that is an educator, another slice that is a social worker, another slice that is a sports trainer, another slice that is a lifelong learner, but I'm a whole person. So the policy should have such a holistic approach too. And of course, it is a big demand on policy making. On European level, there has been, I would say, a rhetoric change, but we really hope that it really will change eventually. When Juncker became the president of the European Commission, and he announced his program, he said that he wants to bring down the silos. Silos are these separate units in the European Commission, one for early childhood education, another for lifelong learning, third one's for social issues, and they don't communicate with each other. So sometimes it's civil society bringing information from one silo to the other. We are working hard on this field. The Juncker Commission now has a system where there are vice presidents who are responsible for many areas, and they're really making an effort to bring down the silos. It's very difficult because civil servants have a long practice of not being open to other silos, but they are really working hard. And we will see how successful it will be. I wanted to set the scene for the European parents' cooperation, or what you can do on national level, because they correspond to each other. I have a few slides that I will not read out, so if you don't see the number of my slides, so you're not that frightened that it will be a very long presentation. The international context of parenting work. As I said, the Juncker Commission is trying to bring down silos, but they cannot breach the basic rules of the European Union. In the European Union, there has been a decision that school education is national competence. If you look at our policy papers, we are challenging this, because the basic right to workers' mobility, and parents are workers, and those parents with children in education are the most mobile age group. They are prevented from mobility because they cannot bring their children from one school system to the other. Also, we are challenging this because we have some very old-fashioned school systems in Europe with very bad results, and they're not ready to change because nobody's really pushing them. So we are trying to empower the parents to push them. But still, this is the international context. School education is national competence. The European Union can only do two things. They can have recommendations. We are participating in creating these recommendations, and they can pair these recommendations with financial incentives, namely Erasmus+, social fund, cohesion funds, so they can make money available for countries who want to carry out these recommendations. What's the problem with this? Those countries who don't want to carry out the recommendations will simply not use the money. So there is no way to push the countries to use the money for implementing the recommendations. But at the same time, if you ask a parent anywhere in Europe about education, you will get something like what we've just had. There is something fundamentally wrong with education, with the services that we are getting. But very often we are struggling with having no other examples than our own schooling. So we don't know what the good solution would be, which is again a big demand on IPA, to share good examples and to support the members of IPA to make parents on grassroots levels to understand why a playful approach, starting with very heavy subject material much later, leaving out a lot of academic content, actually helps the children in 10 years' time. And we have a great support tool for this. And this is the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child. There are some UN conventions that are more or less universally approved and that are part of the legislative system of most countries in the world, and at least all countries in Europe. Three of them are the UN Convention on Human Rights, the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, and the UN Convention on the Rights of People with Disabilities. The interesting thing is that the EU as an entity has joined the Human Rights and the Disability Conventions and never joined the Rights of the Child Convention, because there are lots of things in it that the fact that national competence education systems are not corresponding to that, preventing them from joining. Because if they joined the convention, they should provide the children with the right to play, the right to assembly, the right to the freedom of religion, which would mean, for example, fully non-denominational church schools. It's only there in Ireland. In Spain, a non-denominational church school with no religious education, unheard of. So what we can operate with is that the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child is part of the legislative system of each and every EU member state, including our own. So we have to fight for making certain rights for our own children a reality. But we have the basis for that in the UN Convention, and I will come back to that in a second. But before that, I want to just show you two pictures to provoke your thoughts. I said that we are sharing this concern that something is very wrong with the school system. Because school system is like this. Come away from the window. You don't want to be a child left behind, do you? And the world, the colorful world, is outside of the window. What are we preparing? I mean, what schools are preparing our children for? Having all this input for performing well at the PISA tests, while the real world is something totally different. This is something that we should somehow solve together. It's the right of the child to have a suitable education. Is it a suitable education to have this? Or is it a suitable education to let them out to the colorful world? And I'm sure you know that the other one, again, it's about tests that we are trying to measure our education systems with. PISA results are the tree that we're making the fish climb. And it's not a new thing. Albert Einstein is not a 21st century thinker. He's 20th century, and he said, everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it's stupid. Are we making many of our children think they are stupid? What if a child is good at arranging the classroom and not at maths? Do we need good cleaning ladies? Yes, we do. Have you ever had a broken wire? Have you ever had an issue finding somebody who will just come for a 5-minute job? You will find philosophy professors. You will find great bankers. But who is going to fix your shoes or the wire? If we don't appraise those children who are good at handiwork, at cleaning, at cooking, at arranging tables, we will end up like Saudi Arabia, where they actually have to import people who actually work. I mean, who do the dirty work, because they don't have any more people who are ready to do that. Of course, they have a different situation, but Educating everybody to academic level and only praising academic level will leave us in a very, very big trouble. Of course, we did have standards. In 2000, there were the Lisbon goals set that by 2010, Europe will be the most competitive knowledge society in the world. We couldn't do that. But maybe we should reassess our goals and try to make everybody comfortable in society. Let the fish swim and let the monkeys climb the trees. So, let's come back to the legal basis. And this is what I'm not going to read out. As I said, the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, it's abbreviated the UNCRC, is the basic legal framework for what we are trying to do. Because this is the only piece of legislation, but it's there in each and every European country that gives parents rights and duties. It gives parents and parents only rights and duties. Article 5 gives all the responsibility, the right and duty for bringing up your children to you as a parent. It's not the responsibility of the state, not the responsibility of the school head, not the responsibility of anybody else. It's the responsibility of you as a parent. And this is why parents' participation is legally totally different from the participation of grandparents, of the next door neighbor, of the local community, because you are responsible. This is something that is not really recognized by most countries, and this is something that most parents are not aware of. When you choose your school, the school for your kids, you don't hand over the responsibility. You have to pester them all the time. You have to, yourself, you have to check the quality. You have to make sure that they are letting your fish swim and letting your monkey climb the tree. But you have to tell parents that they are responsible. Oh, it's a huge responsibility. For this reason, Article 18 is about the same. For this reason, the UNCRC is obliging all those countries who have signed the convention to support parents. Do they meet this obligation? Do they provide the money for parental trainings? Do they provide the money for information sites that parents' associations are developing? This is the basis of our demand. We can demand the states who have signed the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child to give financial and also professional support to empower parents. This is the basis for making them change teacher training so that teachers will not only deal with the 6-year-olds, but they will know and they will have the tools for supporting the parent to become a better educator. This is the basis why they should give training to pediatricians who are obliged to go to the families from day one to have some knowledge of educating little babies, because they are only having trainings in healthcare. But it's there, and parent associations all around Europe have this legal basis, not on European level, because the EU is not part of the convention. But Estonia is, Latvia is, Lithuania is, Hungary is, and Nordic countries are. You like it? I can see that he likes it very much. So this is the legal basis. And on this legal basis, these are the things that we can challenge the governments with, that we can challenge schools with, and that we can challenge ourselves with. What are those right support ways or pathways that we can demand? what are we preparing parents for? What parents should be prepared for? Where? Should it be part of secondary school curriculum when it's, still 15 years ahead? Should it be a compulsory course for pregnant women? People hate compulsory things. Well, in most countries. And how to do it? How much to do it by peer support? How much to do it by professionals having a different approach? How much by internet? How much doing face-to-face training? So it is a big challenge. What, where, and how? Another challenge is to change the training of professionals, those professionals who are working with families, to include this lens that they are, as professionals, as social workers, as teachers, as pediatricians, as district nurses, whatever, they are having a responsibility in the preparation of parents. So it should also be part of their pre-service training and also in-service training. Another question is how to prepare the peers. I will come back to this very easy thing because I don't want to go into very fine things. Shall we support those who say that breastfeeding is killing your womanhood? Or are we preparing or supporting those who say, let's kill everybody who is not breastfeeding? It's a very difficult thing. Which peers? So what are the limits? Of course, you should have a relatively wide range of different approaches because we are not the same, and of course there is not one good parenting way, but at least there should be some limits. So those who are advocating for corporal punishment of the children are saying that, well, you can slap them a few times, it was educational, I survived, I grew up. Of course they shouldn't be supported, but how to find the right balance? It's another big challenge. And as I mentioned before, I don't want to elaborate on it too much. It's another challenge, especially because the EU is pushing quality early childhood educational services, is to make the states understand that setting up creches and kindergartens is not replacing real parenting support. And what is again a very big question mark, and we have discussed it yesterday, is how to involve parents in decision making on all levels. What we were discussing, and I think it's a good point for discussion maybe for later, that we know that you must involve parents. But we all know all those parents who want to be involved, but they have no clue. So how to have a fine balance of setting up a framework for involving all the parents, but at the same time saying that, yes, but if you want to be part of decision making, you have to go to a training first. Just said that I have 5 minutes. But I'm finishing relatively soon, too. I don't want to elaborate too much on this, because I just put a slide on the EU legislative framework. For you, I guess you will get the presentations. So whatever is there on these slides, you will find, if you Google them, you will find the right links. If you are interested in the EU policy, it's very important that we do have educational headline targets for 2020. And not just those who are called educational targets are related to parenting. Because we have some directly educational targets, but also when we're talking about reducing unemployment or decreasing social exclusion and poverty, it is an educational target that has to be tackled together with the parents. The involvement part, or the big question mark about the involvement of parents in the decision-making process, is that there is a mechanism on European level to assess these EU 2020 targets, It's called the European semester. Every year, every country is assessed by a set of experts from the European Commission. And what we are advocating for is that there are organizations who are, well, declaratedly, they declared their interest in Europe, like joining EPA. We are trying to demand that on national level, these are stakeholder associations that are invited to contribute to the European semester review. Some countries do it, some countries are excluding some of our members. But you can even do the same on national level. You can go to the European Commission representation and say, we want to be invited, because they regularly invite civil society associations, organizations. There are some refined issues around education which are called ET 2020 targets. You will find them again. But the important thing, and we will have a conference related to this at the end of April in Dubrovnik, Ivar is coming there, is that there is a new set of recommendations published. Again, there will be financial incentives, and again, national parents associations can push for their implementation. On schools, it was just introduced 2 weeks ago at a conference in Brussels, and it puts a lot of emphasis on parental involvement. And another thing that hasn't been mentioned, but for me personally, it's just as important, child participation in formulating and even managing schools. It's a very interesting thing, and there is a toolkit available on the internet that is related to this new policy recommendations, a big set on parental empowerment and parental involvement. And last but not least, 2 one-minute slides about EPA, how we are trying to support our members in carrying all this out that I've said as a kind of framework. We have different online and offline tools. We are always inviting everybody to contribute to them. You can find all of them if you go on our own website. The address will be on the last slide. And we are also trying to raise the voice of parents, not only directly to EU institutions, but also through big groups of civil society on European level. And we are doing it, I want to come back what I said at the beginning, that although most of our members are only concerned about education policies, we are not only involved in the lifelong learning platform, but also in the social platform, which is a huge group of social NGOs, because they are related to 2 different Directorate Generals. And social platform is very well connected to the Directorate General that is dealing with lifelong learning, because they moved it to DG Employment and Social Affairs. And we, as you could see on the previous one, we also published policy papers that could support the local advocacy work of our members. And these are the most recent ones. You can find them all on the website if you're interested. And of course, it's very, very free to translate and disseminate them to as many governments, local parents, and professional associations as possible. We're also involved in a few projects. Again, you will find all the information on the website. I don't think it fits the context of this meeting, but I want to highlight Elicit Plus, where we have a ready-to-apply training program for building trust and mutual learning between teachers, parents, students, and people who are responsible for schools. And that's it. Was it more or less 30 minutes? Thank you very much. I hope it was informative.